Well, good evening and welcome to another exciting episode of Porch Talk. I, of course, am Ed Morandi.
And I am Paul W. Marino.
That's right,
and
this is Phil.
Phil got in an accident this week.
Poor Phil. He's seen much better days.
Well, he shouldn't drink and fly.
That's true.
Yes. Well, we have a few things to talk about this evening. And one of them is, of course, the big hole.
Yes, hang on. I will look up that
Look
date.
that up for me because I was all of a sudden I lost my memory of the dates. But I do know when the tunnel got broken through. When they finally broke through, it was on Thanksgiving Day, November 26, 1874. Wow. That's older than you and I put together.
Wow, that is
It is
old.
amazing. It's 150 years ago this Thanksgiving, and I had an idea in the back of my head, and it didn't fall out. It's still back there. The Holborn business. Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yes. I had an idea that occurred to me when I was reading something on the Facebook that somebody sent me from Italy, that this week is the 110th anniversary of the Strada de Fora, the road that goes from Lake Garda up to Pieve, and it was called by Winston Churchill as the eighth wonder of the world. And it's they're celebrating the 110th, but they don't celebrate it on one day. They're doing it for like 3 weeks. They have parties going, they have people coming and speaking, they have a arts and crafts show, they have the kids dressing up in the old-time costumes, and they put it on. And I was wondering,
And wouldn't you know it, I didn't put in the date, just the name of the first train.
just the name of the first train was Choo Choo.
No, it was the N.C. Munson.
Oh, I thought it was Choo Choo Charlie.
No, that was a different train.
Oh, okay.
That was the little engine that could.
No, that's the little engine. Choo Choo Charlie was the one with Good and Plenty, candy. Remember that?
Yes, Good and
Yeah,
Plenty.
Good and Plenty, Good and Plenty. And we were talking about things when we come in. I had mentioned something. Smith Brothers, cough drops.
Yes.
How many cough drops? How many cough drops were there? I remember Wild Cherry, Smith Brothers,
Honey flavored.
honey flavor. I have never seen them in the last 50 years. I don't know if they're still making them. Well, anyways,
Wikipedia, maybe this will have it.
Paul's looking up something on the internet for me. In the meantime, in between time, ain't we got fun? I was just thinking, if this Thanksgiving, when the tunnel got broken through from east to west, if North Adams could celebrate from Thanksgiving Day 1875 till the first train went through in 1875, and every month or every couple of weeks have a theme, we could get old-time dresses, we could have an arts and crafts show on Main Street, we could do a lot of things to promote North Adams. For North Adams was at the time the height of its glory, and you got a day.
Nope, they left it out too. They didn't even mention
I have
N.C.
it.
Munson.
I have it home. Or if you there, go on MSN and ask them what was the date the first train went through, the day. Anyways, didn't the lady drive the first train?
No. In 1910, the tunnel saw something that was electrifying.
1910, they put the electric in.
That's right.
That's right.
It was electrifying.
That's
Woo!
right. And you know, it was, Chuck Cahoon told me, it was easier for the engines to go through with the electric than it was with the coal. And he said that the coal actually didn't drive the steam, that the coal drove a turbine that made the electricity and the train ran on electricity.
Um,
I don't know at what time.
I'm not sure about
At what
that.
time it went, but that's the way it goes now.
Mm-hmm.
They run on electricity.
Yeah, well, of course, they did have the oil burner. They had the world's largest oil burner running through, hauling trains through before the electrics.
Before they electrified it, okay. If you know the date that the first train went through, give us a call at 664-4408, and you stumped us. Because out of my mind, I just lost the date.
And while we're at it, Joanne, would you please put the photo in front of us? Now, I honestly don't remember if we've done this one before, but the building with the X on the roof, that was not original to the building. I put that on the photo. But I want to know what building that was. There are two possible names that I will accept. Either one, call in if you have that name, one of those names, and if you get it correct, you will win
Bragging rights.
bragging rights for the next 2 weeks. Now, while we're looking at the photo, I can tell you that the building with the white roof in the upper left corner, that was Florini's Italian Garden.
I thought it was.
Yes, and to the right of that was the Empire Theater, which before this photo was taken became the Paramount Theater. To the right of that is the Empire Building. When the Empire Theater was built, the sewing machine guy, the Wilson.
Singer.
Yeah, no, Wilson.
Wilson.
It was the Wilson House Hotel, and that burned in 1912, just a few months after Theodore Roosevelt spoke in the Empire Theater.
Wow.
Now, in front of that, in front of both of them, is what was left of the Sullivan Block. Now, this was North Adams' first 6-story building. Oh, very nice. Thank you, Joanne. You notice it's not a 6-story building there.
No, because they took some top 2 floors off.
Yes. Following the Wilson House fire, no human lives were lost in that fire, by the way. They tore down what was left of the Empire Building, what was left of the Wilson House. It was just the 4 walls. They used 3 remaining walls from the original Empire Theater to rebuild this one, and they took the top 2 floors off of the Sullivan Block and refitted it as a 4-story building, which I actually remember being in.
Really?
Yes.
You must have been young.
Yes, I was. I was a guest in somebody else's Boy Scout troop that met in the ballroom of that building. So, and of course, in front of the Sullivan Block, at least as far as we're concerned, is the Mystery Building. And the question is, what was that building? Now, as I said, there are 2 names that I will accept. Come up with either one of them, and you get bragging rights for the next 2 weeks.
Oh, I know. It's the building with the X on top.
Now, you know you're not supposed to give the answer away on the show.
I'm sorry. You know, when I was watching TV and they had an X on the building, 2 seconds later, a bomb would hit it.
Yeah.
I know it.
All right, Joanne, you can put it behind us again. So remember, if you think you know what building I'm referring to by one of 2 names, please give us a call And that number is
664-4408.
Gosh, you're good at that.
I can read. I can read reading, but I can't read writing. Or I can read writing, but I can't read
Yeah.
reading. It's something like that. This looks like a good book, Paul.
Yes. Now, I was telling Roger Urban earlier today that I got this book yesterday from Dennis Pregent. This is his new book. I helped him with the research. And so my name is in here.
Oh, your
Even
name's
though-
in a lot of books.
Even though I'm not a patriot. So he asked me to look through it and see if there are any errors.
So this book is about patriots
Yes.
from Berkshire County, North Adams, or
Northern Berkshire.
Northern Berkshire. That fought,
Cheshire, Adams, North Adams, and Williamstown.
That fought
Though he
in-
puts Cheshire and Adams together.
together. Okay, so part of it should be North Adams and Adams together. And
Well, let me see here.
now they go to the from where do they start? From the
He has the Revolutionary War, the Civil War, Spanish-American War, and World Wars I and II, Afghanistan, Korea.
what happened to Vietnam?
Oh, yes, Vietnam is there too.
Okay,
So he starts with Adams and Cheshire. So with the Revolutionary War, Joab Stafford, who was a colonel, and when Joab died, he was originally buried in the Cheshire Cemetery.
okay.
And then in 1927, he was exhumed and moved up to Stafford Hill, where I believe it was the Sons of the Revolution who built
The monument?
the tower.
The tower.
And they entombed his remains there.
Oh wow, I didn't know that. Mm-hmm. Have you been up to the tower?
Yes, I
Yes.
have.
We can't talk about things that we just pick up in the books. And Paul's been around for a while. Not as long as I have, but
That's true.
he's been traveling and checking out things. And he checked out the Crooked Forest last week.
Yeah, and it's gone.
It's gone. Can
We
go-
found the two cemeteries, and in fact, one of them shows signs of being taken care of.
Oh wow. That's like the time I was going from Vermont, taking a road going back to Massachusetts, and I came upon the Carley Cemetery, which was immaculate. I mean, somebody just cut the lawn and did the stones and everything else, and my wife's grandfather had cousins buried up there, and we spent the whole afternoon checking out the tombstones. That's an interesting thing.
Yeah.
If you find one in the woods and stuff. And I stop once in a while and look at True Love and what's his name?
Free Love, yeah, Nathan and Free Love.
Nathan of
Drury.
Free Love. That's on Ole Olson's farm. And Sue reminded me of it, and I stopped the last time. The stones are kind of close to the road. You can see them from the road. It's interesting. And I wonder what happened to the stones that were in Cold Grove Cemetery. Did they move all the stones along with the
Oh, you mean from the Cold Grove Cemetery?
cemetery?
Yes.
They moved out.
The headstones were moved with the people.
Okay. Did they carry them, or the people went separate?
The people went separate.
Separate, okay. Because one time I was outside of Gloucester to the Harmon Castle. Harmon was he made the organs, Harmon organs.
Oh,
Excuse
you
me.
mean Hammond?
Hammond. And I noticed there was a whole bunch of tombstones all around the one room from Italy, where he had went to Italy and picked up all these, and And I asked, how did he get them? And they said, well, they moved the cemetery once, and they forgot which stone went with which person, so he took them all.
Ooh, I don't like that.
Good excuse.
And I remember something else I didn't like. One time my mother and I were driving over New York State, and we came upon a cemetery. It was well taken care of, except that they had moved every footstone and put it back to back with the headstone, and then just lashed them in place.
You know, and on Route 22, there's a cemetery where we were going up to Champlain one time to watch a reenactment of the fort on Champlain, way up
Yeah, I know what
by
you mean.
New York, yeah.
Ticonderoga.
No, this wasn't Ticonderoga. This was way up by the bridge from New York to Vermont. I forgot what the name of it was, but from the Historical Society, I led a group of cars that went up there, and on the way up, somebody had to stop for a pit stop. So I happened to see a cemetery where had a A1 type standalone toilet.
Oh,
So we,
I think.
I think I'm going to get an answer to my train.
Let's hope so.
And unbeknownst to me, as we started going through, there was 100 patriots buried there with Indians in a mass grave.
Ooh.
There was a few of them had dates, but then when you went beyond the ones that had dates, there was a stone that said the mass grave of 100 and some odd patriots and Indians. Are we? Oh, we don't have a.
No, she'll wave and let us know.
Okay. It's probably DoorDash calling.
Come on.
The person who just called in just wanted to let you guys know it's Crown Point that you're looking for.
Oh,
Crown
thank
Point.
you.
The Crown Point was the right. Thank you, whoever called in. That was where the reenactment was, and we went up to Crown Point to see the British and the Patriots, and the Patriots got put back because the British were in a well for it.
Didn't the caller want to? No, the caller did not want to guess about the train or the photo. That's disappointing.
There was either a Williamstown call or Adams.
Well, who knows?
Joanne knows.
That's true.
That's true. So what about the book, the Berkshire Patriots? Is that out for sale now, or is it?
Yes,
It's
I
out.
know it's available on Amazon.
Amazon? Keith have some, or? You know?
I expect Keith has some.
Okay, because I've been waiting for a book, The Building of the Hoosier Tunnel. Been trying to get one through the Historical Society, but nobody.
Have you checked out my page, my web page on it?
No.
Thank you. It's nice to know you care.
No, it's. I have a friend in Minnesota who wants the book. So I've been waiting for Keith to get the book in so I could buy one and ship it out to Minnesota. Minnesota's way up north, you know.
Yes, it is.
I remember working in Minnesota a long time ago. Well, 53 years ago. Wow.
Wow and a half.
Yeah, 53 years.
Yeah, Ralph was in Chelsea, Vermont at that time.
Vermont, 1790. That's when they entered the Union. These little things are in my mind, but what went through this here and out this here was the day that the first train went through. I know it was 1875, but I'm saying from this Thanksgiving to the day that the train went through, North Adams could be putting on different things. Just like in Italy, they're doing the road, 110th anniversary. I was supposed to speak at it, but of course I can't travel. But I did do the 100th celebration. Mike Casalio and I went to Italy and spoke at 3 different towns. They had kids dressed up. They had antique autos. They had food galore. All the towns had food galore. What's his name? Martini and Rossi.
Oh, yes.
They supplied us with some good stuff. They had the Martini race car there, and Mike Casalio got to drive it. Of course, he couldn't get it out of second gear like the old song went. He said the thing was amazing. It just touched the accelerator and she flew. But they had as much white vermouth as you could drink.
Well,
that was
that's
10
not
years
much
ago.
for me.
That was 10 years ago, and it was a lot for me. So here we are, waiting for the person to call in.
And take a guess on either the date,
Or the building.
yes, or the building. Please give us a call. We're here at 664-4408.
Or
And
if-
we are sick of listening to each other talk.
Or
and
if-
we'd like to hear from someone else, please.
Or if that line is busy, you can also call 664-4408.
Yes, yes. Now, excuse me, I'm crying here. Little kids love this, you know.
What, to have you cry in your beard?
Yeah, and dab my eyes with my beard.
Oh,
You know, they may start, but when they see me dabbing my eyes with their beard, they start laughing.
they saw that at Rip Van Winkle. Remember him?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, he took a snooze.
I've
40
taken a
years.
few of those myself.
Not for 40 years.
That's true.
I watch television, I see these shows that the guy gets knocked out and he goes in a coma for 12 years and he comes back and he doesn't recognize anything. He's in a coma for 40 years, 30 years, and doesn't recognize what's going on. People walking around doing this with their phones, stuff like that.
Well, I remember a short-lived detective series about a man who was an American who was put in a jail in South America, in a prison, and he's there for 20-odd years, and then a shell blows up the wall and he manages to get out. And the novelty of it wore off pretty quickly. At one point he jumps into a car with an automatic transmission and he's beating his foot on the floor. Where's the damn clutch?
Mm-hmm. And some of the things on Facebook that people put on is, can you identify this? And it's always the high beam, low beam. They used to have it on the floor.
Yeah.
Or, have you ever driven a car that had the starter underneath the, or was it underneath the clutch or the brake? Yeah, the clutch. Had the starter underneath the clutch.
Yeah, I never saw that.
Oh, yeah.
But I have read of it. In fact, James Thurber, in his essay, My Own 10 Rules for a Happy Marriage, he says that men should never turn to their neighbors and say, well, you know how women are.
Well, no, I don't.
So when a man comes upon his wife struggling to start the car without first turning on the ignition, he should not turn to a neighbor and say, well, you know how women are. And likewise, when a woman comes along and finds her husband about to fry an egg in a dry skillet, she should not throw up her hands and say, isn't that just like a man? So his suggestion is make it a high point, like, George, only you would do something like that. And the man finding his wife trying to start the car without first turning on the ignition, instead of turning the neighbor, he should say, Velma, I've seen a lot of women in my time, but not one of them can touch you. And while he admits that this is not an ideal solution, his wife comes along, reads over his shoulder, says, well, isn't that just like a man? And, well, you know how women are.
You know how women are. Well, I've actually said to my wife as I sit in the car and our car starts by pushing a button, and I would say to her, never mind turning on the radio, let's get going. Because you're hitting the wrong button. And she gets mad, but we laugh about it. Oh, gosh. So, Crown Point is the only information you people have out there? At least we know there's one person watching.
Yes.
You know?
Now,
That's
what
good news.
happened to the other person who was supposed to be watching?
I don't know.
Oh, that is good water.
Is it? Have some more.
Well,
Have some
tell you
more
what,
water.
I'll pour some.
No, I don't need any water.
Yeah, well, I
No,
know you don't want it now, but I don't want to finish this water and leave you without any. My mama brought me up right.
She did. She was a wonderful person. I used
You
to
didn't live with her.
No, but I worked with her. I used to love her when she come down and work. We could talk and talk forever.
Mm-hmm.
We could talk about things that, when she was young, I used to sit and listen to her. Yeah. A very, very interesting person.
When I wrote up the oral history of my family, there's a picture from her childhood of her and her brother sitting in, I think it's a sleigh, and the horse is hitched up to it. And she gives the horse's name and said that he lived with us our first year in America. And the first thing that pops into my head is the image of the horse sitting in an easy chair with its hind legs crossed, reading a newspaper.
The first year, where was she from?
She was born in Wales. They came over when she was
That's
6,
right, yes,
and her
I
brother
remember.
was 4.
Yep, I remember, yeah.
One day, one of her friends decided to take her to Ellis Island. It'd bring back such memories, except that they didn't go through Ellis Island. They were supposed to land right in Portland, Maine, but there was a storm and they had to land in Boston instead.
Okay. The Tempest? What was this name? Shakespeare wrote a song.
Yeah, The Tempest.
The Tempest, yes. Yes, I don't remember her telling me about that. I think it was you that told me that she was from Wales.
Yeah, that could be.
Yes, because I remember somebody, little kid, saying, "Ma, look, these are whales," and I said, "No, those are people." Okay, let's have a phone call. 664-4408.
That's why I don't go to the beach anymore. I lie down and people come rushing over and try to help me back
Roll you
into
back
the
into
surf.
the
Yeah.
surf.
Get away from me, you.
Belugas. Those are the white ones.
Yes.
Okay, trivia keeps popping out of my head, but I can't remember that darn date.
Well, shall I tell you about my novella?
You got a novella.
This is my very first novella. It's titled The Mundus.
The who?
Mundus. Mundus.
Mundus.
It's a Latin word that means life, or it might be world, I forget which. I haven't gotten to the explanation yet. But when I first started writing this, I needed a Latin phrase that meant place of crossing. And I found a website where you could translate from English to Latin and vice versa.
Bing.
And I came up with a phrase that I thought was okay, but I wasn't really sure. Well, on the last page of his website, he says that this website only has 13,000 words. But if you go to this other website that's maintained by a college professor in Texas, he has 18,000 words. So I went to that website, and it didn't help me because it was just a list of 18,000 Latin words. So I sent him an email and told him I need a Latin phrase that means place of crossing. And he sent me a phrase that means a place for fording, as in fording a river. Well, that wasn't exactly what I was after, so I sent him a more complete explanation of what I wanted. And he told me about the mundus. Now, whenever the ancient Romans were going to build a new town or a city, and they actually copied this from the Etruscans, who did the same thing, they would have something like an astrologer or a feng shui artist figure out where the exact center of town should be. And from there, they would lay out the main north-south street and the main east-west street. And where those crossed, that was the center of town. And there they dug a bell-shaped pit, which they called the mundus. And it was kept covered except for certain times of year when they would open it and throw in offerings of meat, fruit, vegetables, and flowers as offerings to Ceres.
They didn't use the Westfield version?
No.
Oh,
So, and then they'd cover it over again. Well, the physical mundus represented the metaphysical mundus, which is a passage that goes from heaven to earth to the underworld. And when the mundus was open for their ceremonial times, the dead could come back from the hereafter and travel among the living again.
oh boy.
So that was just
Didn't
what I
happen
was
though,
after.
did it?
No.
No.
So that is the explanation behind this story.
Now, before I get to, what's the difference between a novella and a
A novel.
novel?
A novella is a story that's too long to be a short story, but too short to be a novel.
Okay. All right.
Up until the time I wrote this, I had never written anything this long before. So it's about two 15-year-old boys, both named Michael. And partly to tell them apart, and partly to give them each his own character, they are called Michael and Mikey. Michael is a very mature 15-year-old. He lives in Boston with his parents. His father is a curator at the Bush-Reisinger Museum, which is an actual museum that I visited. His mother used to play cello in the Boston Symphony. Now she teaches cello at home. Michael plays the piano. He and his parents all love classical music. He takes lessons at the Boston Conservatory. Mikey is a very immature 15 who lives on a ranch in Edwards, Montana with his older sister. And Michael winds up being in Mikey's body. As for why, you're going to have to read the story when it gets to the website.
Is this story finished?
No, well, yes and no. I wrote this some years ago when I was in my writer's group. But then when I upgraded my computer, I lost all my fiction due to partly stupidity and partly to modern technology. But then I rediscovered a hard copy of the novella. So I've finally gotten around to transcribing it and editing it. So I'm not just rewriting it as I wrote it then, I'm making changes to it now from the perspective of several years. So the part that I'm going to read here, and now as I say, Michael is in Mikey's body, and he has tried placing a call to Boston, and people are not happy about this, especially his sister. The 3 phones that exist on the ranch, in the office, the kitchen, and the barn, are all being monitored very closely whenever he's around. So he waits until one day his sister is in her office. The housekeeper is taking a nap and the men are all working outside. He goes to the closet, gets a jacket on, and goes out through the dining room, goes around the house, and starts down the driveway, 200 yards down the driveway to the road. He gets there, he's winded, but so just the walk from the house, about 200 yards, had taken most of his reserves. But he had to get to a town or a house at least. For lack of a better idea, he turned right and started walking. Truth be told, it was closer to plodding, but he was moving. After another 200 yards, he was feeling shaky and a little dizzy. Then he heard a sound, the whine of an engine. He turned happily, already bringing up his thumb when he saw it was not a car, but a pickup truck, the one from the ranch. The smile melted from his face as the truck pulled up alongside. Curtis reached over and opened the passenger door with a genial grin. "You looking for a ride, boy?" Michael swallowed hard. "No." He took an unsteady step backward. "Where are you headed?" The grin never left the foreman's face or voice. "I thought I'd take a walk into town." Curtis laughed. "It's a mighty long walk the way you're headed." He pointed behind him with his thumb. "Town's west. It's 10 miles, Mikey. You really feel up to walking 20 miles today?" Michael gulped hard, staring toward the distant town. He was sweating and shaking. He knew he didn't have the strength to walk back to the house, let alone 10 miles. He heard Curtis pat the seat. "Get in." Michael licked his lips, the sour taste of cold fear spreading over his tongue. "No thanks," he repeated, taking another step backward. Curtis's grin evaporated. "Mikey, get in." Michael almost wept. Even if he had the strength to run, Curtis could run him down in nothing flat and force him into the truck. He walked slowly, climbed in, and shut the door. "Good boy," Curtis said, patting him. He gave a sharp whistle. Champ came running and leaped into the back. Pardon. "Buckle up there, Mikey," he said, genial again. Michael obeyed, very unsteadily. "Are you taking me into town?" he asked in a hopeless tone. Curtis laughed and tousled the boy's hair with rough affection. "Do I strike you as crazy, boy? I take you anywhere but home, and your sister will have both our asses for breakfast." The truck jounced on the shoulder of the road, turned, and went back the way it had come. "What do you want to go to town for, Mikey?" Curtis's tone was conversational. "It's Michael," the boy muttered in a dead tone. "What's that?" "My name. It's Michael." "Okay," Curtis chuckled ruefully. "Michael, why were you trying to get to town?" Michael didn't answer. He stared at his feet on the dark floor, his eyes blurring with tears. "Were you trying to get to a phone?" Curtis asked softly. "Yes," Michael whispered. Curtis shook his head. "You better come up with something better than that." Michael looked up sharply. Curtis gave him a knowing smile. "You tell Sheila you went out for a walk." "What?" "You tell her you were out for a walk. She don't have to know what you were really up to." Hope sparked in Michael's chest. "Does this mean you believe me?" Curtis chuckled. "No." "Then why are you helping me?" The foreman's smile turned mischievous. "Because I don't want to see you packed off to a loony bin. Hell, boy, I like you better now than I ever did before. If the way you are now is crazy, I hope you never get sane." Oh, great, Michael thought. Everyone he knew wanted him to be committed. Only one didn't, and that one still thought he was crazy. He might as well give up and be Mikey Warner. The truck was getting close to the house. Michael bit his lip. An ally was, after all, an ally. "Thanks, Curtis," he said. The man answered by tussling his hair again. The truck came to a halt. Michael unfastened his seatbelt, opened the door, and slid out. The moment his feet touched the ground, his knees buckled. Curtis ran around and pulled him up. "I can walk," the boy protested. "I just feel a little dizzy." "Yeah, right," Curtis replied, looping his arms around Michael's ribs, and walked at his pace, which was slow. "Okay," Michael said, "so I am a little more than just dizzy." Curtis laughed. Sheila was pacing in the foyer, looking mad enough to spit fire. Michael cringed. He'd seen her angry before, but never like this. It was especially intimidating since she had final authority over his immediate fate. "Just what the hell were you thinking, Mikey?" she snarled, roughly unzipping his jacket. Michael tried to meet her eyes, but couldn't. He dropped his eyes to the floor as Curtis slid the jacket off. Sheila threw it on a chair. "I was going for a walk." "You look at me when I talk to you, young man." Michael raised his eyes and focused on her nose. "Going for a walk, hey?" She thrust an accusing finger in his face. "You were looking for a phone, weren't you? You were trying to call Boston again." "Oh, come on," Curtis cut in, his voice soft and reasonable. "The boy went for a walk and forgot how sick he is. It was just cabin fever, that's all. Cabin fever. 1,000 square miles of open prairie, and he makes for the nearest road without telling anyone? I'm not that stupid." "Stupid, don't enter into it." He's been cooped up for so long, he just wasn't thinking straight. Cabin fever. The woman's hands closed into fists and pressed against her hips. I'll see he wasn't thinking straight. I thought you were getting better, Mikey. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe I should have listened to Hannah. Michael sighed in resignation. I'm sorry, Sheila, he said, focusing on her mouth. I won't do it again. I know you won't. Get up to your room. You're not leaving this house again until I've had a talk with Hannah and Dr. James. Michael shivered, picturing himself in a straitjacket. Hold on now, Curtis said. He went for a walk, that's all, and that's where I'll stop. Thank you.
This is part of Paul's novella.
Titled The Mundus.
Yes, I think.
Oh, here she is. She finished shopping. Yay! Well, we have 12 minutes left, and I don't think anyone is going to call to take a guess about that photo. That is very annoying. The two of you who are watching should be willing to take a guess.
There's
Notice
three tonight.
Yes.
There's 3 people
That's
watching
right.
tonight. Of course,
So,
if Joan was here, she'd have known right away where we went.
yeah. All right. So, Joanne, would you please put the photo in front of us again? Thank you. Now, the building there with the X on it, my father, in about 1970, when the southern half of Main Street was coming down and everything from the Sullivan Building forward to Marshall, my father pointed that out and he called it the Spite Theater, which is one of the 2 names I was willing to accept.
What was the other name?
I'm getting to that.
Okay.
He said that 2 people wanted the same piece of property and one of them built a theater shell on it to spite the other, hence the term Spite Theater. It's a neat story, but he was wrong. When I grew up and I started doing research, I did some research on the theaters, and I found out that in the 1920s, the Sullivan brothers had their fingers in every theatrical pie in North Adams. If they didn't own it, and they did own the Empire Theater, if they didn't own it, they controlled it. And they wanted to make sure that no one else could ever build another theater in North Adams. And in fact, in the 1920s, a Mr. Mossert came up from Springfield with the intention of building a new theater on State Street, which he would call the Mohawk. The Sullivan brothers built this theater shell, and they called it the Capitol.
Oh,
But they
okay.
never finished it. They had seats ordered, they had curtains ordered, it had a full stage with dressing rooms, they had a movie screen ordered, they had projectors ordered. All they had to do was call them in and they'd be installed. And the threat was plain. You just try building your theater. We'll finish this one and get it open before you can get your ground broken.
Wow.
And it was never finished. Obviously, that Mohawk Theater was never built. And so it spent its entire existence as headquarters for their, and later their sister's, real estate empire.
Their sister had a house up by the library.
Yes, on Church Street.
I was a paper boy at one time. I could ring the doorbell and the man would come out and take the paper.
The butler?
The butler. I couldn't leave it on the steps. I couldn't leave it in the driveway. I had to hand it to him. And believe me, when they got to 35 cents, it was nickels and dimes they paid me with. My brother used to say, you delivered a paper to the millionaire? And I would say, yes, I did. Did she pay you? No. The butler paid me 3 dimes and a nickel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I understand that she was very personable.
Yes. Yes.
And she took care of one of her brothers, too.
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
he was either very sick or he was crippled, and she had an elevator installed in that house.
Wow.
Okay, Joanne, you can put us on again.
Put us on here.
I keep forgetting what we look like. Oh,
I'm the one without the beard.
yes.
Yes.
But not the mustache. Your wife is the one without the mustache.
And the beard. She doesn't have a beard. She has
Oh,
no
yes, I
mustache.
forgot about that.
Yes.
We love you, Joan.
I told Paul tonight we're going to be minus an audience because Joan is shopping. But she showed up. Good to the last drop.
Yes, indeed. This is excellent water.
Aquavina. Aquavila? Aqua. Vina. Fine aqua.
Yes, it's from Sand Springs.
How'd you say that in Italian? Oh, I know how to say it in Italian. Sand Springs.
Oh,
Huh.
I love swearing in Italian. Cacciatori antipasto.
Oh, you can talk Italian.
Well,
You know, ravioli, manicotti.
Yeah. Well, you know,
Al Pacino.
one of my friends at NASC, I'm sure he's retired by now, he taught Italian, and I don't remember how we got on terms because I never studied Italian there, but he wrote up a list of phrases that are translated into Italian. Of course, they're nonsense phrases, but they're made to sound like an Italian trying to speak in English. So the phrase for my vision is impaired is "Ah, no see."
I know, see.
And my vision is improved. "Ah, see better." My vision is greatly improved. "Ah, see much better."
Or, as my brother-in-law says, he had 2 years of Italian. I used to say, Jerry, what did you really learn for 2 years of Italian? Mangia la porta. I said, what? Mangia la porta means eat the door. Oh. So here we are, another week. I won't see you till June.
Yes, almost June. Next month is the Northern Berkshire Community Coalition's annual meeting, a luncheon meeting. I will be there.
We have the retirees meeting, first Thursday.
Yeah.
10
I'm
a.m.
sorry you could not come to the luncheon. It was very nice.
I had a doctor's appointment.
Well,
we
couldn't
wanna-
you call in sick just once?
I am
Sorry,
sick.
doctor, I can't come. I'm not feeling well.
Okay, Marlon.
Oh, no, that was not the Marlin voice. This is the Marlin voice.
So, we have about 4 minutes left. I want to say thank you to Phil. Thank you to Joanne. Thank you to Paul.
Thank you to you. Thank you to Joan for being here. Thank you to Joanne for directing.
Right.
We're very fond of you, Joanne. Despite your holding all our calls.
How's it feel to take a call? It's the first call I've been here in three shows. She did
So,
good.
Joan, would you like to come and be on the show? in the last 3 minutes. You know, you wouldn't think a woman like her would swear like that.
Oh, hey, she swears she learned it from me.
Yeah.
Her family never swore.
Well, actually, mine didn't either.
Oh, her family was deacon
I,
at the
I
Baptist
really
church.
learned. I really learned to swear in the Air Force.
Where?
The Air Force. I was in the Air Force for 4 glorious weeks.
They found out you were a loony and they let you go?
Yeah, exactly.
Ah.
So when I came back, I could swear like a pro.
Well, I think next month I got to get a hold of Tim. We'll get Tim here. And we'll hear the news from Florida Mountain.
Yeah, I told him anytime you want to be on, just come on down.
Yeah, come on down.
And he said that he would call first.
I don't know if he had his eye done or what. Not sure.
Not that I'm aware of.
Not sure, but I will send him an email tomorrow or the day after and find out. I got some good pictures from him of the cemetery, or your pictures.
I think he sent them to you.
He sent them to me.
But you know that cemetery that I said was being taken care of, there were 2 boys buried there. I think the eldest was 10 and the younger was, I think, 8. The 8-year-old was drowning in their father's mill pond, and the 10-year-old went in to save him, and they both drowned.
Wow.
Their headstones are now gone. However, whoever has been taking care of the cemetery put a zinc family monument there, and both boys are named on one panel
Oh, wow.
of it.
Good. Good. It's a shame people would take things like that, you know? I mean, oh well. Well, less than a minute. We got to say that no one
Joanne, you
called
can
in.
be on for the last 30 seconds. No, there's no need to talk like that. It was just a nice offer. Oh, she's going to hit me when we're leaving.
So,
And I deserve it because I'm asking for it.
You're asking for it. Huh? So don't forget, read Paul's novella on paulmarino.com.
PaulWMarino.org. It is not posted yet, but it will be when the transcription is done.
Well, there's plenty of stories on that program, on that site, that will keep you busy for a while until 2 weeks from today, or is it 3 weeks? We will
No,
see
I
you.
think it's 2.
We will see you. Have a good time. Play safe.
Take care.
Bye.